Have you ever wondered what happens when someone seemingly possessed comes into contact with a holy object? It's a scene we've seen countless times in movies. A cross, a Bible, or holy water is presented, and the possessed person recoils in agony. But is there any truth to this? Today, we re-diving deep into the fascinating and often unsettling world of exorcisms and the powerful reactions to sacred items. Let's start with the most iconic symbol, the cross. Across many cultures and beliefs, the cross is a potent symbol of faith and divine protection. In accounts of exorcism, both ancient and modern, it's often reported that individuals believed to be under demonic influence react with extreme aversion. They might scream, thrash, or try to flee at the mere sight of it. Exorcists claim this isn't a reaction from the person themselves, but from the entity supposedly possessing them. The theory is that these entities, being forces of darkness, cannot stand the presence of something representing divine light and sacrifice. It's described as being akin to a physical burn, an unbearable spiritual pain that forces the entity to reveal itself. Then there's holy water. This is essentially water that has been blessed by a member of the clergy. To most people, it's just water. But in the context of spiritual warfare, it's considered a powerful sacramental. When flicked or sprinkled on a possessed individual, the reaction is often described as dramatic and violent. Reports mention skin blistering, as if touched by acid, accompanied by hissing sounds and cries of pain. Skeptics argue this could be a psychosomatic reaction, where the person's deep-seated beliefs manifest physically. However, proponents of exorcism point to cases where the individual had no prior knowledge that the water was blessed, yet still reacted violently, suggesting a supernatural cause. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The Bible and other sacred texts are also key tools. Simply reading passages aloud, especially those concerning the power of God over evil, can provoke a strong response. Witnesses describe how the possessed person's voice might change, speaking in languages they don't know, or blaspheming uncontrollably. It's as if the words themselves are a weapon, disrupting the entity's hold. Some exorcists believe specific verses are more potent than others, acting like spiritual keys to weaken and eventually expel the possessing force. The entity is said to despise the sacred truths contained within these texts, and the act of reading them aloud is a direct confrontation. Another fascinating element is the use of relics, physical objects associated with a saint. These could be bone fragments or pieces of clothing. Similar to other holy items, bringing a relic near a possessed person is said to cause a violent reaction. The belief is that the holiness and piety of the saint are imbued within the relic, creating a powerful aura of sanctity that is intolerable to malevolent spirits. The reactions are often just as intense as those to a cross or holy water, with the person trying to get as far away from the object as possible. So, what are we to make of all this? Are these genuine supernatural events, or are they complex psychological phenomena? Science and medicine often point towards explanations like dissociative identity disorder, psychosis, or learned behavior shaped by cultural and religious beliefs. The power of suggestion is incredibly strong, and if someone truly believes they are possessed and that holy objects will harm them, their mind can create very real physical reactions. This is known as the nocebo effect, the opposite of the placebo effect. However, many experienced exorcists and witnesses maintain that what they've seen defies any conventional explanation. They talk about preternatural strength, knowledge of hidden things, and reactions that seem impossible to fake. The debate between faith and science is at its most intense in this arena. Whether you believe it's a spiritual battle or a psychological crisis, the accounts of these violent reactions to holy objects are undeniably compelling. They tap into our deepest fears about good, evil, and the unseen forces that might shape our world. What do you think? Have you ever heard a personal story about something like this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this exploration interesting, Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the unexplained. Thanks for watching. When you think of an exorcism, what comes to mind? A priest, a dark room, and a dramatic hours-long confrontation with some unseen force, right? Well, what if I told you that some exorcisms don't last for hours, but for months or even years? It sounds like something out of a horror movie, but for some people, this is a very real and grueling reality. Let's step back for a moment. Most of us get our ideas about exorcisms from Hollywood. We see these intense, concentrated battles between good and evil that are resolved by sunrise. But real-life accounts from exorcists and those who have undergone the rite paint a very different picture. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Think of it less like a single dramatic surgery and more like a long-term course of treatment for a chronic illness. So, why would an exorcism take so long? There are a few reasons. According to those who perform them, the strength and stubbornness of the possessing entity can be a major factor. Some are described as being deeply entrenched, almost like a parasite that has latched on and refuses to let go. The exorcist's job, in this case, is to slowly and systematically weaken that hold through repeated prayers, rituals, and blessings. It's a war of attrition. Another key factor is the spiritual and psychological state of the person involved. The process often involves helping the individual strengthen their own faith and will. Exorcists often work alongside psychologists and doctors to ensure the person's mental and physical health is being cared for. They need to be sure they aren't dealing with a medical condition that mimics the signs of possession. This holistic approach takes time. It's about building a person up so they can actively participate in their own spiritual liberation. Imagine waking up every day for months, knowing you have to face this spiritual battle. The sessions themselves can be draining, both for the person and the exorcist. There might be periods of calm, followed by intense flare-ups. It's an emotional and spiritual roller coaster. We're talking about a commitment that can stretch over seasons, changing the entire fabric of a person's life. Family members are often involved, providing a support system and participating in prayers. It becomes a communal effort, a shared struggle. One of the most famous documented cases that hints at this lengthy process is the story of Anneliese Michel in the 1970s. While her case is incredibly complex and tragic, it involved 67 exorcism sessions over about 10 months. This case, and others like it, have been studied and debated for decades, highlighting just how prolonged and complicated these situations can be. Modern-day exorcists also speak of this long-haul approach. They describe it as a methodical, patient process. They might meet with the person weekly, much like a therapy session, gradually working through the layers of the issue. The goal isn't just to expel something, but to bring healing and peace to the individual. This healing process, by its very nature, can't be rushed. It requires building trust, fostering spiritual resilience, and slowly reclaiming one's life. So the next time you see an exorcism portrait on screen, remember that the reality can be far less sensational, but infinitely more taxing. It's a story not of a few hours of terror, but of a long, arduous journey of faith, endurance, and the slow, determined fight for one's own soul. It is a testament to the human spirit's capacity to endure in the face of incredible adversity. What do you think about this? Does it change your perspective on the topic? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this interesting, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating subjects. Have you ever wondered why, in stories and ancient texts, demons often reveal their names? It seems counterintuitive, right? Why would a powerful, malevolent entity give away such a crucial piece of information? Well, the answer lies deep within the history of belief systems, magic, and theology. In many ancient cultures, a name wasn't just a label. It was the very essence of a person or being. To know something's true name was to have a profound understanding of its nature, and more importantly, to hold a degree of power over it. This concept is found all over the world, from ancient Egypt, where gods had secret names, to various folk magic traditions across Europe and the Middle East. Think of it like a password to a computer system. Once you have the password, you gain access and control. In the context of the supernatural, knowing a demon's name was believed to be the key to commanding, binding, or banishing it. The name acted as a direct link, a metaphysical handle that a practitioner, priest, or exorcist could grab onto. Without the name, they were just shouting into the void. With the name, their incantations and rituals had a specific target. This idea is most famously illustrated in religious texts and exorcism accounts. A classic example is the story in the New Testament of the man possessed by multiple spirits. When asked for his name, the spirit replies, "My name is Legion, for we are many." This act of naming wasn't just an introduction. It was a critical step in the exorcism process. It established the scale of the problem and gave the exorcist the specific designation needed to cast them out. The name Legion itself, a term for a large Roman army unit, powerfully conveyed the overwhelming nature of the possession. This wasn't just a one-off event. Throughout the history of exorcism rites, the first and most crucial step has always been to compel the entity to identify itself. Medieval grimoires, which are essentially textbooks of magic, are filled with long lists of demonic names, their hierarchies, their sigils, and the specific rituals required to summon or control them. Books like the Lesser Key of Solomon are essentially directories of the infernal. The belief was that you couldn't just summon a demon. You had to summon a specific one, like Baal, Paimon, or Asmodeus, and knowing their name was the first step. So, why would a demon comply? Why would it give up this power? The lore provides a few explanations. Often, they are compelled to do so by a higher power. In a religious context, an exorcist isn't acting on their own authority, but as a conduit for divine power. When they command a demon to name itself in the name of God, the demon is forced to obey a power far greater than its own. It's not a choice. It's a submission to a higher authority. Another perspective is that of pride. Some stories suggest that powerful demons are arrogant. They might reveal their names out of hubris, believing that the human confronting them is too weak to use the knowledge effectively. It's a way of boasting, of saying, "I am this great and terrible being, and even knowing my name won't save you." It's a calculated risk on their part, a psychological game to intimidate and overwhelm their opponent. So the next time you watch a movie or read a book where a demon dramatically announces its name, you'll know it's not just for theatrical effect. It's a trope rooted in a deep-seated ancient belief about the power of names, that to name something is to understand it, and to understand it is the first step to mastering it. It's a fascinating look into how our ancestors viewed the world, where words held immense power and names were the keys to the universe, both seen and unseen. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this dive into ancient beliefs interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the strange and mysterious corners of history and folklore. See you in the next one. Have you ever wondered how, during an exorcism, a demon seems to know all your deepest, darkest secrets? It's a chilling thought, right? Priests who perform these rites often report this very phenomenon. They say that these entities can reveal things that no one else could possibly know: private conversations, hidden actions, even thoughts you've never spoken aloud. It's one of the most unsettling aspects of their work. So, how is this possible? Is it some kind of supernatural mind reading, or is there another explanation? Let's dive into what theologians and experienced exorcists have to say about this. According to their teachings, demons are not all-knowing like God. They can't read your mind or soul in the way a divine being could. Instead, they are described as incredibly ancient and intelligent beings. Think about it. If they've been around since before humanity, they've had a lot of time to observe us. They're masters of observation and deduction. Exorcists explain that demons are like the ultimate detectives, or maybe more accurately, the ultimate spies. They've been watching humanity for millennia. They study our behaviors, our weaknesses, our patterns. They can piece together information from tiny clues that we might not even notice ourselves. For example, they might observe your body language during a private moment of weakness, hear a muttered word of frustration when you're alone, or see the websites you visit late at night. They are constantly gathering data on us. Furthermore, they can communicate with each other. The idea is that a network of these entities can share information about a person. One might observe you at work, another at home. They then pool this knowledge to build a comprehensive profile of your life, your fears, and your secrets. It's not about reading your mind directly, but about assembling a puzzle from countless external observations. They can see the cause and effect in our lives better than we can, because they have this vast outside perspective. So when a priest confronts one of these entities, it can pull from this massive database of information to try and intimidate, manipulate, and create despair. By revealing a secret sin or a hidden fear, their goal is to make the person feel isolated, ashamed, and hopeless. They want you to believe they have ultimate power over you, that your secrets make you unworthy of help. It's a psychological game, a tactic to break your spirit and your faith. But here's the crucial part. According to these same priests, this knowledge is their weapon, but it's also a sign of their limitation. They have to rely on observation and deduction because they don't have true insight into your soul. They can know what you've done, but they can't know your heart's true intent, your capacity for repentance, or the love and grace that's available to you. Their knowledge is wide, but it's ultimately shallow. Priests say the key is not to be terrified by what a demon might know, but to focus on what it doesn't know. It doesn't know the depth of your faith or your potential for change. During an exorcism, the focus isn't on the secrets the demon reveals, but on the power of faith to overcome that darkness. The revelation of secrets is just a scare tactic, a desperate move by an entity that sees its influence slipping away. So the next time you hear stories like this, remember, observation isn't omniscience. There's a big difference. It's a fascinating and complex topic that blends theology, psychology, and personal accounts. What are your thoughts on this? Does this explanation make sense to you? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you found this interesting, consider subscribing for more deep dives into mysterious topics. See you next time. Throughout history, stories of exorcism have captivated and terrified us. We often picture a dramatic battle between a priest and a demonic force for a person's soul. But what happens when these rituals go horribly wrong? Today, we are diving into some of the most infamous and tragic cases of exorcisms that ended not in salvation, but in disaster. Let's start with Anneliese Michel. In the 1970s, this young German woman began experiencing severe seizures and psychological distress. Diagnosed with epilepsy, she and her deeply religious family became convinced she was possessed. For nearly a year, 2 priests performed 67 rites of exorcism. Anneliese stopped eating and drinking, believing it would starve the demons out. Tragically, she passed away from malnutrition and dehydration. Her parents and the priests were later convicted of negligent homicide. This case raised a huge debate. Was it a genuine spiritual battle or a catastrophic failure to provide proper medical and psychiatric care? Then there's the case of Michael Taylor from the UK in 1974. After his wife expressed concerns about his erratic behavior and an affair, their local Christian fellowship group concluded he was possessed. They subjected him to an all-night exorcism. The leaders claimed they cast out dozens of demons, but warned that one, the demon of murder, still lurked within him. Exhausted and mentally unstable, Michael was sent home. In a state of psychosis, he horrifically murdered his wife. He was later found not guilty by reason of insanity. It's a chilling example of how spiritual fervor, without professional psychological insight, can lead to devastating consequences. Across the Atlantic in 2005, a Romanian priest and several nuns performed an exorcism on Marica Irina Cornici, a young nun who was being treated for schizophrenia. They believed her mental illness was demonic possession. They tied her to a cross, gagged her with a towel, and left her without food or water for 3 days. She died from dehydration, exhaustion, and suffocation. The priest and nuns involved were convicted and served prison sentences. The Orthodox Church condemned their actions, highlighting the dangerous line between faith and fatal fanaticism. These stories are heartbreaking, and they serve as powerful cautionary tales. They highlight a critical point. What might be interpreted as spiritual affliction can often be a sign of severe mental or physical illness. To the untrained eye, might resemble historical descriptions of possession.